Have you ever looked at him, your man, your partner, your husband, and felt that behind his silent strength, behind that wall of self-sufficiency, there lies an entire ocean you cannot see? An ocean of unspoken needs, of quiet longings that he will never, under any circumstances, give voice to. He won't ask. He won't hint. He would rather break under the weight of responsibility than admit to what he desperately awaits. The world taught him to be a rock, to be a warrior, to be a pillar. The world forged his armor, whispering from his earliest childhood, "Boys don't cry. Men don't complain. Be strong." And he believed it. He built this fortress not to shut you out, but to protect the vulnerable, tender, living part of himself that he was forbidden to show. And so he stands before you, strong, dependable, emotionally mature. But in his eyes, if you look very, very closely, in the subtle crease by his lips, you can see a quiet, almost invisible plea. A plea not for things, not for help, but for something far more profound, something for which there are no words in. His warrior's lexicon. Carl Jung said that our persona is the mask we wear for society, and the mature man's persona is a mask of competence, control, and invulnerability. He is the captain of his ship, and he cannot show the crew that he is afraid of the storm. But behind every mask lives a soul, and his soul has needs. It doesn't hunger for the world's approval, for likes on social media, or for a promotion at work. It yearns to be seen by one single person, by you, to be seen not in his strength, but in his sacred weakness. We are going to talk about 5 things he desperately needs, but will never ask for. This isn't a list of gifts or favors. It is a map to his soul. These are 5 keys that unlock not his mind, but his essence. Because what he hides is not his failure. It is his greatest, most authentic power, which he instinctively trusts only. To the one who can see beyond words, beyond the armor, are you ready to see? Are you ready to give him what he's been waiting for, without even knowing what to call it? If you are, then stay. Because what you are about to hear could change not only him, but you, forever. The sanctuary of silence, the first thing he needs, but will never ask for, is not just personal space. It's not time alone to watch the game or hang out in. The garage, it is something far more sacred. He needs a sanctuary of silence, a space where nothing is required of him, where he doesn't have to be strong or smart or a problem solver, where he doesn't have to be a man. The world constantly demands action, decisions, and answers from him. Work, family, obligations. It's an endless battle he fights every single day. His mind is a processor that's always running, analyzing threats, calculating moves, optimizing resources. And when he comes home, this mental battle often continues. The faucet needs to be fixed. What are we going to do for vacation? Did you talk to the teacher? He is a function, a problem solver. But who is he when there are no problems to solve? Where is the place he can take off this role, like taking off heavy armor, soaked with sweat? He will never say, "Please, just be silent with me. Don't ask anything. Don't expect anything. Don't look at me with anticipation. Just be." To say that, for his unconscious mind, is to admit defeat. It means saying, "I can't anymore. I'm tired. My system is overloaded." And a warrior cannot get tired. A captain cannot leave the bridge, but his soul gets tired. His spirit is depleted. Carl Jung taught that for the personality to integrate, for the process of individuation to occur, a person must descend into their own unconscious and meet their shadow. This descent is impossible amid the noise of daily demands. It requires silence, a sacred, inviolable silence. It's like a deep-sea dive. He can't take a radio with him and constantly report to the surface what he sees. He needs to hold his breath. and go down to the depths where there are no sounds, no hustle, where it's just him and his inner ocean. When he's staring silently into space, sitting in his chair, or just walking into another room, he's not ignoring you. He is trying to find this sanctuary. He is trying to connect with the part of himself that has no name, no function. He is trying to hear his own inner voice, which has been drowned out by the roar of the outside world. This is his way of rebooting, of calibrating his internal compass. And what happens when a woman, driven by anxiety, doesn't understand this need? She invades this fragile space. What are you thinking about? Did something happen? Why are you so quiet? Are you mad at me? Every one of these questions, asked with the best intentions out of care, sounds like an alarm bell to him. It's like someone started shouting at the deep-sea diver through a megaphone. He has to put his mask back on. He has to give an answer, formulate a thought, be functional. And the door to his sanctuary slams shut. He surfaces, not rested, not restored, but even more exhausted from having to defend his right to silence. The woman herself is often frightened by his silence, because she's been taught that silence is a sign of a rift, of resentment, of a lack of love. Her own anxiety compels her to fill this void with words, but it's not a void. It is a fullness of a different kind. To give him this sanctuary of silence is not to leave him alone. It is to be with him in that silence. It is to create an invisible field of safety around him, where his silence is not seen as a problem to be solved. It is to say with your calm, steady presence, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to say anything. You can just be. I am here. I see you. I accept your silence as a prayer, as a meditation, and I trust this process. This is the highest form of love because it asks for nothing in return. It isn't fed by words or actions. It is fed by pure presence. It's like sitting by a fire. You don't talk to the fire. You just warm yourself in its heat. When a man receives this kind of space, a miracle happens. His inner armor begins to melt. The tension he carries in his shoulders, in his clenched jaw, in his furrowed brow, dissolves. In this silence, he doesn't just rest. He heals. He integrates his experiences. He meets himself. And when he returns from this sanctuary, he comes back to you not as a depleted warrior, but as a whole king. He will never ask for this, because he doesn't even know it exists. But if you give it to him, he will realize he has been waiting for it his entire life. He will find in your presence a home for his soul. Second, a witness to his battle, not a savior. From it, the second thing he needs is not your help, not your advice, and not your desire to fix everything. He needs you to be a witness to his battle. Every mature man carries a burden. It could be the responsibility of a business, the weight of past mistakes, a fight with his own demons, or simply the weight of the world he has placed on his shoulders. And he will carry it in silence. He sees it as his duty, his path, his cross, and his sword all at once. The last thing he wants is for someone to try and take that burden from him, because his burden is part of his identity. His battle is what makes him who he is. It is his sacred wound, which, if left untouched, becomes the source of his wisdom and strength. When you see him struggling, your first instinct, driven by love, is to rush in to help. Let me help. You should do it this way, not that way. Why don't you try this? I read an article. You are trying to lighten his load. But what he hears, on an unconscious level, is, you can't handle it. You're weak. I can do it better. This is a blow to the very core of his masculine archetype. It's like walking up to a blacksmith forging a sword and saying, you're swinging the hammer wrong. Let me show you. He will never say, don't help me. Just watch. Just know that I'm struggling. Just believe that I will get through this. Your faith is more important to me than your advice. To ask for this would be to admit his vulnerability out loud, which to him is the same as surrender. He must prove first and foremost to himself that he can endure. To be a witness to his battle is an act of the deepest respect. It means standing by his side while he fights without interfering. It's like in the ancient myths of a hero who goes into the dark forest to fight a dragon. He must go alone, but knowing that someone who believes in him is waiting at the edge of the forest multiplies his strength tenfold. Her faith is an invisible shield that protects him more than any sword. Her presence is the quiet harbor he can return to after the fight, knowing he was seen at his darkest hour and was not judged, not considered weak. This is the stance of a queen observing her king's duel, not a rescuer. She does not doubt him. She knows there might be blood and dust in the arena. She can see his exhaustion, his pain, but she doesn't scream, "Stop, that's enough." She watches with unwavering faith, her gaze saying, "Fight, I am here. I can withstand the sight of your blood. I can withstand your possible defeat. Because I value not your victory, but your courage." Jung spoke of the warrior archetype. The warrior's purpose is to fight. If you take away his battle, he ceases to be a warrior. A woman who tries to save her man is in essence castrating his soul. She robs him of the chance to go through his own initiation, to find his own strength through overcoming adversity. With the best of intentions, she steals his transformation. From him, think of how often he has brushed off your advice, how he has shut down when you tried to solve his problem. He wasn't doing it out of stubbornness or pride. He was protecting his right to his battle. He was protecting his essence. He was protecting his right to become stronger. What happens to a man whose battle is never seen? He becomes cynical. He starts to think his efforts are in vain. His struggle loses its meaning. Or worse, he stops fighting. He gives up. Because the hardest battle is the one fought in a vacuum, without a single witness. The real help he needs is not active, but contemplative. It is your unshakable faith in him. It is your admiration for his courage, even when he is on the brink. It is your ability to hold his tension without shattering yourself. When a man feels that his battle is seen and respected, he gains superhuman strength. He understands he is not fighting alone. Not in the sense that someone is fighting for him, but in the sense that his duel has meaning, because there is someone for whom this victory matters. He will never thank you for this in words, but he will look at you as if you are the only person in the universe who truly understands him. And in that look, there will be more gratitude than in 1,000 words. Third, accepting his shadow through your own wholeness. The third need is the most difficult to understand because it lies in the depths of the unconscious. He doesn't just need acceptance. He needs you to accept his shadow. But this can only be done by a woman who has come to know her own. Every man, even the most mature and self-aware, has a shadow. Carl Jung defined the shadow as the part of our personality that we repress and deny. For a man, this is typically his vulnerability, his fears, his doubts, his irrational anger, his greed, his envy, his need for care, his inner boy. Everything that society has branded as unmanly. He hides this shadow deep inside, in the cellar of his soul, afraid that if it is seen, he will be rejected, ridiculed, or seen as weak or bad. He will never say, "Please, love the part of me that I myself hate. Please, accept my frightened inner child, my insecurity, my baseless anger." He won't even admit this to himself. He spends a tremendous amount of energy keeping these demons on a leash, and this is where the key moment happens. He is unconsciously looking not just for a woman. He is looking for what Jung called the anima, his own inner feminine image. But he seeks it externally. He is looking for a woman who can do for his shadow what he cannot do for himself. accept it without judgment. But a woman who is afraid of her own shadow, her anger, her power, her sexuality, her inner witch, cannot accept his. If she strives only to be a good girl, only light and love, then his darkness will frighten her. When he shows his irrational anger, she will be scared and call him an aggressor. When he shows his weakness, she will be disappointed and think of him as a wimp. When he shows selfishness, she will accuse him of not loving her. She will try to fix him, to heal him, to bring him back to a normal state. In other words, she will do the same thing the rest of the world does, reject his shadow, and he will put his mask back on, even tighter, even more securely. A mature man desperately needs a woman who is herself whole, a woman who has descended into her own depths, who knows her anger and is not afraid of it, who knows her pain and is not ashamed of it, who has integrated her own shadow. Only such a woman, upon seeing his inner demon, will not flinch. She will recognize in it a reflection of her own. She will not be afraid of his anger, because she knows the power of her own. She will not condemn his weakness, because she knows the value of her own vulnerability. She will be able to look at his darkest, most unbecoming side and say without words, "I see you, and I am not afraid. This part of you is also worthy of love. It is also you, and I am staying." This is not passive indulgence. It is an active, conscious holding of space. It is a psychological container in which his shadow can manifest without destroying everything around it. This is the alchemical marriage that the mystics wrote about. A union not of two halves, but of two whole individuals. When a man meets such a woman, his shadow ceases to be a monster in the dark. It comes into the light and becomes integrated. His aggression transforms into the healthy power to protect. His fear becomes wise caution. His vulnerability becomes the capacity for deep intimacy. He becomes whole, not because she healed him, but because her own wholeness gave him permission to become whole. He is not looking for someone to be his mother and raise him. He is looking for someone to be his mirror, a mirror that is not afraid to reflect the darkness. He will never formulate this request, but his entire soul is screaming for it. And when he finds it, he finds home. He finds the one and only harbor where he doesn't have to pretend to be a god, because he is accepted as a human being. Fourth, loyalty to his path. Even if you don't understand it, the fourth need concerns his mission, his purpose. He doesn't need support for his hobbies. He needs loyalty to his path. Every mature man has an inner compass that points him in a direction. It could be his work, his project, his art, his spiritual search. It's what Jung would call the process of individuation, the path of becoming oneself. And this path is not always logical. It can be full of risks, strange decisions, and sacrifices. It might lead him to places that frighten both you and those around you. He might decide to leave a stable job to start a risky business. He might start spending all his free time on a strange hobby that doesn't make money. He might suddenly change his views on life and begin to seek spiritual truth, and he won't be able to fully explain why he is doing it. He will simply know that he must. It is the call of his soul, of his self. It is his personal quest, his search for the Grail. And what does a woman usually do out of love and fear? She tries to make him see reason. Are you sure? It's so risky. But how will we live? What? About the mortgage? The kids? Maybe you shouldn't? Let's just leave things as they are. Everything was so good. She tries to guide him back to the safe, understandable, well-trodden road. She tries to save him from possible failure, from pain, from society's judgment. But to him, her words sound like a betrayal. Not a betrayal by her personally, but a betrayal of his very essence. He hears, "I don't believe in your path. I don't believe in your inner voice. My fear and my need for comfort are more important than your purpose. It would be as if Penelope screamed to Odysseus, who was striving for Ithaca, "Don't sail. There are cyclopes and sirens out there. Stay on this safe island." He will never ask, "Please, believe in me, even when I doubt myself. Please, follow me, even if I'm leading us into the fog. Please, be loyal to my path, not to my success." To say such a thing would be to shift responsibility onto her, and he cannot allow himself to do that. Loyalty to his path is not blind obedience. It is a conscious choice to trust his inner sense more than your own fears. It is the ability to say, "I don't understand where we're going. I'm scared, but I believe in you. I believe that you know what you are doing. I am with you. Whatever happens, I am on your side." It means being loyal not to his plan, but to his spirit. This is the greatest sacrifice a woman can make. The sacrifice of her control. The sacrifice of her need for security and predictability. But it is this very sacrifice that turns her into a muse. Into the one who doesn't just wait for the warrior to return from battle, but the one who inspires him for that battle. She becomes the wind in his sails, not the anchor that keeps him in the harbor. When a man feels that a woman is loyal to his path, he finds freedom. He is no longer afraid to make mistakes, because he knows he won't be condemned for failure. He will be valued for the courage to walk his own path. He stops being torn between the call of his soul and the expectations of the woman he loves. These two vectors align, and then his energy is multiplied tenfold. He becomes capable of moving mountains, not for himself, but for them, for the one who believed in his crazy dream. He is not looking for a cheerleader who will applaud his victories. He is looking for a companion who will walk with him through the valley of defeat without ever doubting the ultimate destination of his journey. And if he finds her, he will never let her go, because such loyalty is fuel for the soul. Fifth, connection without words. And finally, the fifth most subtle need. It crowns all the previous ones. He needs connection without words. In a world obsessed with communication, constant talking, discussions, and hashing things out, he seeks peace. But not the peace of loneliness, the peace of unity. He craves an intimacy that exists beyond verbal communication. The male psyche, especially in a mature man, often grows tired of words. For him, words are a tool for solving problems, for conveying information, for fighting a battle. When he is speaking, he is working. His brain is in analysis mode, logic mode, argument mode. That's why he so often answers the question, "How was your day?" with a single word. He doesn't want to work anymore. He wants to come home. But home for him is not just four walls. It's a state of being. A state where he is understood without explanation, where his feelings are read not from his words, but from his sigh, where his tension is perceived by the way he holds his shoulders, where his joy is felt in the air, not in loud declarations. He will never say, "Let's just sit next to each other and feel each other." I don't need words. I need your presence. I need to know that our souls are tuned to the same frequency. It sounds too esoteric, too vulnerable. He would rather suffer in silence from the feeling of being misunderstood than ask for such a thing. Connection without words is the pinnacle of emotional intimacy. It's when you can be sitting in different corners of a room, each busy with your own thing, and still feel the invisible thread that connects you. It's when you can walk up to him, put a hand on his shoulder, and say more with that gesture than with an hour-long conversation. "I'm with you. I feel you. It's okay." It's when, in his moment of triumph or defeat, your gaze tells him everything he needs to know. This connection doesn't come out of nowhere. It is the result of everything we have talked about before. It is born when there is a sanctuary of silence where he can be himself. When there is a witness to his battle who gives him strength. When there is an acceptance of his shadow that makes him whole. When there is a loyalty to his path that gives him freedom. Only then do words become optional. Communication shifts to another level, from the mental to the energetic, to the level of the soul. This is what Jung might have called a state of conjunction, an alchemical union where two become one without losing themselves. It is a dance of two silences that understand each other better than any words ever could. A woman who constantly demands words, explanations, and verbal affirmations of love from a man keeps him in a state of constant tension. She forces him to remain at the level of the persona, the level of social interaction. She doesn't let him come home into that deep silence where a true meeting is possible. She demands that he constantly prove his love in a language that is foreign and exhausting to him. To learn to communicate without words is the highest art of a relationship. It means trusting your intuition, your feelings. It means learning to hear the silence. When a man finds a woman with whom he is comfortable, being silent, he knows he has found his other half. Because with her, he can finally take off all his armor. Not just the external, but the internal as well. He can be completely naked, spiritually naked, and know that he is completely safe. This is the desperate, unspoken need that lies at the foundation of it all. The need for a union that is deeper than words, deeper than psychology, deeper than life itself. A union of souls. And he will wait for it his entire life. So what does all of this mean? These 5 things: the sanctuary of silence, a witness to his battle, acceptance of his shadow, loyalty to his path, and connection without words, are not just techniques or tips. They are facets of a single whole, facets of a love that does not try to change, but allows one to be. A love that does not demand, but gives. A love that does not speak, but listens. And most importantly, to give him all of this, you must first find it in yourself. You cannot give him silence if a storm of anxiety is raging within you. You cannot be a witness to his battle if you are afraid of your own. You will not accept his shadow until you befriend your own. You will not be loyal to his path if you do not know your own. Perhaps this unspoken need of his is actually a call to you. A call to your own wholeness. A call to become the woman who can withstand the power and depth of a mature man, who is not afraid of his strength and does not despise his weakness. The world is afraid of such unions because they shatter all the patterns of superficial, neurotic relationships built on mutual use and the filling of voids. They create an energy center of such power that it can change reality around it. And if something inside you resonated with these words, if you felt a sense of recognition, of longing, or even of fear, it means your soul is also ready. Ready for what is real. If this message has found you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with another woman who is also trying to understand the mystery of a man's soul. Like this video so that this light can spread further. And if you are ready to walk this path, the path of depth and truth, write one word in the comments. **, presence. **, so that I know you heard not the words, but the silence behind them. Because it is in that presence that the love that is not spoken of is born. The love that is simply lived.